Have you ever looked around your office and wondered, how are some people getting ahead while you feel like you're just treading water, even when you're working so hard? Well, I can tell you it's probably not about luck, and it's not about some hidden talent. It's something way smaller, way quieter, and honestly, a lot more powerful. If you stick with me through this, I promise you'll walk away with a super simple method to unlock real, lasting progress in your career.
Does this sound familiar? You're putting in the hours, you're grinding away, but that feeling of being completely overwhelmed, it just doesn't go away. It's this really frustrating cycle, right? You're busy all the time, but you don't feel like you're actually moving forward. Well, today, we're going to talk about how to break that cycle for good.
And the key to breaking it isn't some new age productivity hack. It actually comes from the brilliant, time-tested ideas in Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. What we're going to do is take his core principles and apply them directly to the real-world challenges we all face at work every single day.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll uncover the silent force that's really driving success. Then we'll see why your smallest choices are the absolute key. We're going to talk about how actions shape who you are, how to build unstoppable momentum, and see the incredible ripple effect of your habits. And most importantly, by the end, you'll know exactly what your first tiny step is going to be.
So what is this silent force I'm talking about? Well, it's this simple truth. Real, meaningful success is almost never built on those big, dramatic, movie montage breakthroughs. Nope. It's built by something much, much quieter. Something that works behind the scenes, day in and day out. And here it is. It's called the compound effect. I want you to think about a single drop of water landing on a giant stone. The first drop? It does absolutely nothing. You wouldn't even notice it. But what if that same drop falls in the exact same spot every single day for years? Well, eventually, it will crack that stone wide open. That is the kind of power we're talking about. Small, almost invisible actions, when you repeat them with consistency, lead to massive, incredible results.
And this is what's so counterintuitive about it. We're all wired to want the big win, right? We want to finish that huge project in one weekend or clear our entire inbox in one heroic afternoon. But that kind of intensity requires a ton of motivation. And let's be honest, it leads straight to burnout. The real, permanent change comes from the tiny habits. It accumulates slowly, kind of like your phone battery, draining 1% at a time. You barely notice it happening, but the end result is huge.
And this brings us to a really crucial point. Your absolute smallest choices matter. The compound effect isn't just some abstract theory. It's at play with every single tiny decision you make all day long. And those decisions create a chain reaction that literally defines your entire workday.
So what does this actually look like at your desk? Think about these tiny office wins. It could be just answering that one difficult email you've been putting off, or spending 2 minutes to tidy up your computer desktop. Or maybe it's just deciding to read one article related to your field instead of scrolling through social media for 5 minutes. None of these feel like a major accomplishment, and that's the point. Each one is a tiny drop on the stone, pushing you forward. You know, it is so easy to blame outside circumstances. A demanding boss, a crazy workload, you name it. But when you really absorb this idea that your day is just the sum of your own small choices, it's not about blame. It's actually about freedom. It gives you the control. It gives you the power to create your own momentum, starting this very second. Okay, now we're getting to the part that I find absolutely fascinating. This is where the real magic happens. It's the psychology behind tiny habits. Because they don't just change what you do, they fundamentally change how you see yourself. Let me break it down. Say you perform a tiny action, like you decide to read just one page of an important report. That action sends a little signal to your brain. It's like you're casting a vote, and that vote says, hey, I'm the kind of person who stays informed. Now repeat that tiny action tomorrow and the next day. Those votes start to add up, and that belief gets stronger until it solidifies into a new identity. Pretty soon, you don't even need willpower, because being proactive is just who you are. All right, so the idea is great, but an idea without a system is, well, pretty useless. So that brings us to building unstoppable momentum.
In the book, he calls this Big Mo, and it's the force that eventually makes your good habits feel totally effortless.
And the engine that drives all of that momentum is consistency. Think about it. One intense 12-hour workday might feel super productive, but it doesn't actually build long-term success. It just burns you out. It's the steady, daily, sometimes even boring effort that really powers the compound effect. It's about showing up consistently, not just showing off intensely.
So here's your practical toolkit for building that consistency. First, routines. Automate your good choices, like deciding to check your email at the same time every day instead of every 5 minutes. Second, your environment. This one's huge. Design your workspace to make good habits easy and bad habits hard. Turn off notifications, clean your desk, make focus the path of least resistance. Then track your progress, and finally, tell a trusted colleague or mentor what you're doing. It all just reduces friction. Now, tracking is especially crucial because it makes your invisible progress visible. A super simple journal just like this creates awareness. When you physically write down, hey, I finished a small task without checking my phone, you're giving yourself concrete proof that you're moving forward. It reinforces your commitment and keeps you going, especially on those days when the results aren't obvious yet. And this is where it gets even more powerful. Let's talk about the ripple effect. I want you to imagine tossing a tiny pebble into a calm pond. What happens? The ripples spread out, wider and wider, way beyond where the pebble first landed. Well, your habits work the exact same way. Just take a look at this chart. It shows it perfectly. A tiny habit, something as small as adding just 5 minutes of real, dedicated focus each day, it doesn't just add up, it compounds. That small daily investment quickly grows into an extra hour of deep, productive work each week. And that, in turn, leads to you finishing a major project ahead of schedule. The results aren't linear, they're exponential. And the reason why is that positive habits create a chain reaction. One good choice just naturally leads to others. For instance, maybe you decide to take a short walk after lunch. That gives you better energy for the afternoon. That improved energy leads to sharper focus. That focus results in higher productivity, which then boosts your confidence. It becomes this amazing positive ecosystem of growth, and it all started with one tiny decision. Okay, let's bring all this home. We've talked about the theory, the psychology, the momentum, but it all boils down to the single most important question. How do you actually start? This is where we turn all this understanding into action. If you only remember one thing from our time together, please let it be this. You do not need a massive, life-altering overhaul. Forget about trying to transform your entire work life by tomorrow morning. All you need to do is identify one tiny, almost laughably small action that you can commit to repeating. That's it. That's the beginning of everything. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your workday, at your biggest challenges and your biggest goals, what is the one small, simple choice you can make today that if you repeat it, will start the compound effect working for you? That choice, no matter how insignificant it feels right now, truly has the power to define your tomorrow.